How are you all doing? Hope you're doing great today. It's bright, sunshine outside, so you're having a great time. Weather here, I'm sure you're doing, you're at your place, the weather is great too. So, coming back to statistics, today we are going to talk about different types of sample that we can obtain from the population. Remember, last time we talked about sampling from a population. Why do we sample from a population? Because we cannot reach the entire population at any one time because it's too large. Therefore, we work with samples. Now, there are different types of samples that we can select from a population. One of them, the common one, the most common one is convenience sample. Convenience sample. That means a sample that is easily available to us. A sample that can be easily selected, easily selected from the population. You ask me what is an example of convenience sample? An example is E capital, small g means example. I want to find average age of all students at a college campus. Instead of selecting a random sample, random means without any preference, without any preference, sample from the entire population of the campus, from the entire population of students, of all students at the campus, I just select the students, the students in my class, in my stats class. Why that is a convenient sample? Because the students in my class, because I can easily collect information from students in my class, from these students in my class, from the students in my class. So this is a convenience sampling. The problem with convenience sample, with this kind of sample, for example, the problem with this kind of, let me write, with this kind of convenience sample is they these students do not represent the entire population of students. Why do I so? Why? Because only freshmen and sophomore students take the statistics class. Take the statistics class. Take the stats class. Therefore, I will miss information from juniors and senior students. So this leads us to bias. So bias, which leads to bias. What is bias? Which leads to bias sampling. Okay, bias means a bias sample differs from the population in a systematic way. In my case, I'm missing totally information from juniors and senior students. So I'm missing information from that part of the population. And that my systematic way is I only collect information from freshmen and sophomore students who attend my class. Okay, so so there are different types of bias. Here you saw, in my example, we saw selection bias. Okay, because I selected students in my class who only come from freshman and sophomore classes. Okay, so selection bias. Then there can be measurement bias. What is measurement bias? Measurement bias comes from the fact the survey questions may not be properly worded, and people and participants may answer them incorrectly. May answer incorrectly. Let me write it over here. May answer incorrectly or incompletely. Because they do not understand all the questions. So different kinds of bias. We have selection bias, we have measurement bias. Okay, selection bias occurs when you miss a part of the population. Like in my example, the students in my class only come from freshmen and sophomore. I do not get information from juniors and senior students. Therefore, there is a selection bias. Measurement bias comes in the fact if the survey questions are not properly worded, the people who are taking the survey will not answer the questions correctly or incorrectly, or they will misanswering some of the question. And then there is a non-response bias too. Okay, so when people do not answer some questions, uh, let's talk about the best method of sampling on the other side of the board. So let's flip the board, go to the other side, and talk about the best possible method that we can use to select a sample. So far I've been talking about why we have to collect information from a sample, because we cannot afford to reach the entire population. So we select a sample which is a part of the population. But when we select a sample, we should be careful. We should not work with a simple random. We should not work with a convenient sample, because the information we will get from such a sample will be biased. Before I move forward, I will appreciate it if you'll please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button, and also if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. That really motivates me. And also please let your friends know about my channel. Okay, I have all kinds of math problems worked out. I have given lectures on different materials. Like for example, today I'm talking about different kinds of samples in statistical studies. So what is the best type of sample for a statistical study? Well, it is called a simple random sample. Simple random sample. Okay. It's called a simple because the process by which this sample is selected is simple. And a simple random sample is such a sample is generated using a method such a method which ensures that every possible sample of the desired size has an equal chance of being selected. Okay, this is important. Every possible sample of the desired size, this is important, has an equal chance of being selected. How do you do that? One easy way to generate a simple random sample of say 50 students with 5,000 students in the population. is to list the student alphabetically based on their last name, on their last names. Okay, based on their last names. Okay, so number the students from 1 to 5,000. Number the students from 1 to 5,000, starting with E, starting with students with last name with starting with last names beginning with A and beginning with A, then B and so forth and so forth. Okay. Okay. Then the next step is ask a random number generator, which is a software, random number generator software to generate a list of 50 random numbers, 50 random numbers between 1 and 5,000. So the list consists of 50 random numbers and they have to be between 1 and 5,000. The reason being we have listed the students from 1 to 5,000 based on the alphabets in their last name, starting with A. Okay. So once the computer generates the list, generates the list of 50 numbers, select the students with those numbers. Select the students with those matching numbers, to make a simple random sample of 50 students. Okay. It's called a simple random sample because every sample of size 50, every sample of size 50, sample of size equal to 50 has, and from the population, has an equal chance of getting selected, has an equal chance of getting selected, chance of getting selected. Okay, hence simple random sample, SRS. Okay. Another way to obtain samples is to stratified, is called stratified. So next is stratified random sampling. divide the population into strata or group. Divide the population into different strata. Into different strata means groups. Different strata, groups, and then select students, or then select sample randomly from each strata. Randomly from each strata. So first we divide the population into strata, different groups based on certain characteristics. Then we will select sample randomly from each strata. Okay. The other one is cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is when we divide the population into cluster or groups. Divide the population into clusters. Into clusters. Clusters again means groups. Example, divide, this is e.g., divide a city into zip codes. Into zip codes. Then select two zip codes at randomly. Then select two zip codes randomly and talk to everybody in those zip codes. And then sample everybody in the every person in the selected zip codes. In the selected zip codes. There may be 10 zip codes in the city. We cannot talk to all the 10 people in all the 10 zip codes. So out of 10 zip codes, we may randomly select 2 zip codes and then sample every person in the selected zip codes. 2 zip codes. Why do we adopt this process? Because the city is huge. It may consist of 10 zip codes. Lots and lots of population. We cannot contact all of them. We are restricted by time. The last one is systematic sampling. Systematic sampling. This can be done. An example of that is production line. Production line of cars. Production line of cars. Check the 5th car. Just check the 10th car. And then every 10th car after that for quality. Every 10th car after that. So what is my system? Start at position 10, then every 10th car after that. That's why it is called systematic. Again, why it is selected? Because it is convenient. Not only is convenient, here again, if there are 100 lines produced in a production line during a shift, just for example, we start at position 10 and every 10th car after that we will sample 10 cars. Okay, so this is called systematic sampling. Okay, and I already talked about convenience sampling. It's a no-no. Why? Because we do not collect information from the entire population in this case. Convenience sample is so called because sample is easy to reach for the person who is conducting the survey, but that does not mean the sample will represent the characteristics of the population. If you ask me which is the best possible sampling method, it is a simple random sample. We select a sample size, say it's 50, And it's called a simple random sample because every sample of size 50 from the population has an equal chance of getting selected. How do we make sure of that? Well, we make a list starting from letter A. Best, say we are talking about population of students in the campus. Make a list of students from 1 to 5,000 based on their last name. A, last name is top, number 1 and so forth. And then ask a computer program, random number generator, generate me a list of random numbers anywhere from 1 to 5,000. The list should consist of 50 numbers. Okay. In this way, we will ensure that every sample of size 50 will have an equal chance of getting selected. Because every time the computer, the random number or random number generator, will generate a list of sets of 50 different numbers. We have to restrict the numbers from 1 to 5,000 because the total population is up to 5,000 students. Okay, so simple random sample is the best. Then we can also do stratified sampling. After stratified sampling comes cluster sampling, when we are talking about a big city divided into clusters or groups, zip codes. Select 1 or 2 zip codes and talk to everybody, survey everybody in those selected zip codes. Systematic sample, there is a system. Start at position 10 and every 10 after that. Sometimes this is represented by letter K. K is equal to 10. That means I start at 10th position, the sample at the 10th position, and then every 10th car after that. So the cars that will be checked, position 10, then the 20th car, then the 30th car, then the 40th car. Notice I'm every time adding 10 and so forth. Again, the best is simple random sample. Okay, I'll stop here today. If you have any question, comment, please do not hesitate to write me a note in your comments. I will be happy, more than happy to answer your question. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. That motivates me to produce more interesting videos just for you. And also please let your friends know about this channel. And please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button, and please click on the notify bell button. That will notify you every time I upload a new video, which I do quite often. So thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and also I hope to see you tomorrow when I'll be back with another interesting video. Thanks. Take care. Have a nice day. See you. Take care. Stay well. Okay. See you next time.